This special S-Class interview with Ray Santiago, a.k.a. Pablo from Ash vs. the Evil Dead, is brought to you by GameFly. GameFly is a monthly subscription service with over 8,000 new and used games. They also have a video subscription service as well. Basically what GameFly does is you give them a list of the games that you want, and they send you the game. And then when you're done with it, you send it back to GameFly, and they send you the next game that's on your list. Say you like the game a lot, you can actually pay a fee, for a used game, and then you just keep the game. So it's pretty awesome. There's never a late fee as long as you're paying your subscription service, so it saves you a lot of money that way. Back in my day when we had Blockbuster, I got killed on late fees. So this is pretty cool. There's a bunch of really cool games that are coming out. The BioShock collection just came out. Record came out recently as well. A few other upcoming titles that I'm looking forward to playing are Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, which I played the beta for. I'm a huge fan of that game. I didn't get a chance to play the first one, so I'll be happy to play Titanfall 2 on the PS4. Final Fantasy 15, which is great. I love Final Fantasy games. It'll be cool to get back into them. And also The Last Guardian, if that game ever comes out. So if you do me a favor and go to gameflyoffer.com/BTHEMBTI, you will receive your first month of subscription service for free on us. So once again, it's gameflyoffer.com/BTHEMBTI for your first month of service for free on us. And now, Klaatu Barato.
There is a story so strange in its implications that it defies ordinary classification.
So welcome to Black and the Black Times of Infinity. I'm Cthulhu's Prodigy. Alongside me we have Old Ninja, Blue, and Kronos. This is a special S-Class interview. We have Ray Santiago with us from Ash vs. Evil Dead. What's up, fam?
Life. Most people don't get when I make that sound, but for all the diehard fans out there, it's the opening of our show.
Yeah.
So that's that noise that I just made.
Oh man, that's so great. The show is amazing. We're all fucking excited over here, man. It's gonna be great. You play Pablo, obviously, on Ash vs. Evil Dead. Star's incredible show that we actually voted for one of the best shows of last year.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. I agree with you.
And I just wanted to kick it off. I mean, I'm going to just jump in and we're going to ask you some questions, so thank you. Towards the end of last season, Pablo, Ash, and Kelly were on their way to Jacksonville after the truce with Ruby, who's played by Lucy Lawless. How do you think Pablo is feeling about the truce?
Well, I think he's pretty... I don't think that Pablo actually is as concerned about the truce as he should be. I think he's still in shock from having birthed Deadite out of his mouth. So I would say he knows that it's a Band-Aid and it's going to have to be ripped off at some point. But I don't think that I think he's frankly in shock from the fact that he just birthed these demons out of his mouth, that he's still alive, and that maybe it's over, but I don't think he buys it for a second. As far as Ruby's concerned, I don't trust that bitch. I don't like that bitch.
You can't trust her.
I don't think he feels. He feels like the truce is temporary.
So I'm glad you brought up that birthing that Deadeye baby. What was that like filming that scene? 'Cause I was like, whoa, what the fuck?
I mean, dude, all I have to say is I'm glad they decided for the birthing scene to be out of my mouth and not the other hole.
Oh, man.
I don't think the world would have enjoyed that, and neither would have I. But you never know.
It made for good TV.
Fans are a little funky and crazy. Maybe they would have liked it, but look, it's not every day that you birth demons out of your mouth. And I'll never forget when I called my mom and told her, like, "Hey, I just did this scene where I had to give birth to demons out of my mouth." Anytime I try to explain what our show is about and what I did at work, it just never sounds. It never sounds good. It just never makes sense. It's pretty ridiculous. I'm like, yeah, there's a book, and then the book is on my face, and then I'm giving birth, and then I'm choking this chick, and it's like, sounds like a bad, snuff film.
Yeah, bad S&M film. Now,
but, listen, I think at the end of season 1, I went through that incredible, experience. And then season 2, we find Pablo still sort of suffering the trauma that happened in the cabin. and he's a bit darker than last season. He's tormented by these visions of darkness, and one thing's for sure, he has an undeniable connection to the Necronomicon, and there's no escaping that.
Now, you brought up season 2. We kind of got a sneak peek of season 2. Are we allowed to talk about it?
Yes.
So
What have you seen? Have you seen 1 and 2?
Yes.
Yeah, we saw episode 1 and 2.
We're not releasing this till after.
Okay, so it was really there's a scene where Lucy Lawless' character Ruby has you strung up, and you're kind of in a weird, awkward like S&M position. Were you actually tied up that way, or was it like where you have like a harness on, or like how did that scene go?
Well, I'm definitely suspended in the air, and my hands were tied behind my back, and I was definitely hog-tied. No, there's no easy way to do that. They did offer to bring me down in between takes, but
Was there a safe word?
I decided that I wanted to stay up there, and I was like, nope, I'm good. And so I stayed suspended in that position for a good part of the day. Wow. Luckily I'm pretty athletic, and I practice yoga. I work out with a trainer, so I was pretty much prepared for this season. I knew that they were going to probably put me through a blender of bloody situations, and I just tried to bring my A game. Because that's the world we live in, the Evil Dead world. Anything can happen, and as you will come to see, I got this, and that is one of Pablo's one-liners this season. I got this, and in many situations he does not have it handled, but he continuously thinks he does, and so. But yeah, I personally I was up in the air for a good part of the day. That's not the last time you'll see me hogtied on this show. We'll come back later this season, and I just plugged my headphones in and put some Requiem for a Dream music on, and try to embrace the darkness of the Evil Dead world and just go with it, man. Because I got this.
All right.
Actually, I got a question. This is Old Ninja here. I got a question from your past. So your first, I guess, big movie debut was with someone that Prodigy on our podcast he's been in love with for years. You were in Girl Fight, and you had the chance to work with Michelle Rodriguez. Can you tell us just a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, so Girl Fight, I was 12 when I shot the movie. I think I turned 13 on set. Damn. So you're talking Baby Ray. Baby Ray got to meet Michelle. Michelle and I met at the audition in the room, and I remember I walked into the room, and I was sitting across from her, and I was scared. I've never met somebody who has such a strong energy. She looked like a lion or a tiger that would just destroy you if she had to. But at the same time, she also had the vulnerability and the softness in her eyes once she spoke to me, and I think that you're sitting opposite each other, and she was so masculine in all of her, Michelle Rodriguez-ness, and I was sitting over there like a little dorky nerd, and the juxtaposition that we have between characters, her being the sort of masculine fighter and me being the artsy, puny little brother who gets his ass kicked, was probably what the director saw, but, we didn't think that we were going to make Sundance winner, and Girl Fight went on to, win Best Picture at Sundance, and working with her was amazing. She's crazy. She's got crazy energy, but it's infectious, and we love it. And as you can see, she's a star.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think everything that you described about Michelle Rodriguez is why Prodigy's in love with her.
Yeah. Clearly.
Too? What the hell?
And also, I will say, she came up to me, dude, you got to keep a strong core around her, because when she says what's up to you, she will, punch you in the stomach. it's not a light punch. Hey, how are you? It's like, you better engage your core or else you're going to fucking puke. But she said to me, I remember, I said, so what do you want to do once the film's done? She's like, I want to be an action star. And there you go. She pretty much is what she set out to be. So kudos to her. Love her a long time. And, I'm super stoked that she's doing this project right now that's been causing a bit of controversy.
Yeah.
Which one are you talking about?
She's doing this movie where she plays a assassin, a male assassin who undergoes like a surgery that he doesn't want to by some crazy surgeon, and like she plays a male assassin who undergoes like a surgery where she then becomes a woman. So it's like the whole thing, and the trans community is not okay with it, but it's an interesting project, and she's always doing sort of interesting projects. So I'm interested to see her play a man.
That's interesting that the trans community is kind of up in arms, because you ever heard of Fallon Fox? You know who that is?
I'm sorry?
Do you know who Fallon Fox is?
No, I don't.
She's a transgender MMA fighter. So she was a man, and then she transitioned to being a woman, and now she fights as a woman in MMA. And that was like, a lot of people were up in arms about that in like just like the athlete world. So that'll be interesting to see how it'll play out in the movie.
All right, let's get it back to Ash.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people want to be who they want to be, and they should be allowed. And people want to make whatever they want to make, and they should be allowed. And people have their opinions, and they're allowed. We don't have to subscribe to them, but we certainly have a choice to be whoever the fuck we want to be.
There you go. I got a question here. So here's the thing: Pablo and that flirty, friend zoning thing between Pablo and Kelly is awesome. I love that in season 1. How do you think Pablo will interact with Kelly, even though we've seen a little bit of season 2 already throughout this season, and will his game improve?
Listen, Pablo wants 3 things in this Evil Dead world, and that is to stay alive, get the girl, and be a hero. And I can sort of tell you that you can expect one of those things to happen. As far as the relationship between him and Kelly, I would say, look, I'm DTF. they just got to write that shit in.
Waiting and willing.
I think what's interesting is that we have this weird relationship where we are sort of like brother and sister on the show, or it's sort of like starts to form that way. And it's like, well, to me, she's like the stepsister that you want to bone. But she's going to totally make me work for it, and she's not going to be easy. So I think once she starts to see that Pablo is not just this naive, loyal sidekick to Ash, and in season 2 is sort of becoming the hero that he never thought he could be, and idolizing Ash, he's starting to understand who he himself wants to be, and just starts to open up the eyes of everybody around him to perhaps the fact that he is something a little bit more than we all thought he could possibly ever be. Season 2 takes place over the course of 8 days, so a lot of things happen, but there's not a lot of times because we're constantly on the go and running. But there were quite a few women on top of me this season, I will say.
Hey. It's funny how most of them died, though. That's kind of sad.
Well, yeah, that's usually how the story goes.
Maybe we can get a hashtag going. Pablo seal the deal.
Yeah.
Hashtag on Twitter.
Yeah, for sure. Hashtag Pablo seal the deal. I mean, I just want to say it's an incredible opportunity to have this role and to be part of this franchise, not only because it's been around for so long, but because in a time where I feel like Latino people are trying to build walls around us, I think it's important for the world to see diversity on television. And with Pablo, we get to see him be the first Latin American sidekick to a horror genre on television, and it's a positive portrayal of a Latino. And I've made a living off of playing gangbangers and drug dealers on television, and everybody has their stories to tell. But certainly the thing that ties me to Pablo, and that is the root of Pablo and I, and that is similar, is that both Pablo and I want to be heroes. We want to leave our mark on the world, and we want to change the world. And I think with me as an actor, I get to do that by playing Pablo, and I think with Pablo, it's by saving the world from deadites and demons and being part of this ultimate monster fighting squad.
Nice.
Can I ask a real quick question? Sorry to jump in, but so I found a really captivating quote of yours online, and it said, as a kid, I wanted to be the person running from the monster. I also wanted to be the person saving people from the monster. I wanted to be a superhero. And it sounds like Pablo to you is fulfilling that dream. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. I mean, basically what I was saying is that as a kid, you sort of run around the house and you play superheroes and villains with your friends, and that's what you do to pass the time. And I guess I get the opportunity to do that for a living now, and I'm just really excited that I found a home on a show where the character and the stuff that we're doing isn't boring, isn't cliche, and I feel as though I have something on my hands. I have a duty to the fans and to the creator of what who I think is the creator of the cult classic comedic horror genre, Sam Raimi, is to not let him down, not let the fans down. So I go to work every day wanting to be covered in as much blood as possible, wanting to do the craziest stunts, because, for 30 years, that's what the fans have been clamoring for, and now they got Bruce Campbell, and they got Lucy Lawless, and they got Lee Majors, and they got Dana De Lorenzo, and Ray Santiago were the newbies to the franchise. And out of respect, I gotta bring what I can bring to the table, because I got these cult classic icons that I just listed as my leaders, and I go to work every day and I try to absorb as much as possible from them, because they've had such longevity in their careers and they got to be doing something right. So yes, I think a hero starts as a boy and then becomes a man and then is remembered when he's dead, and that's what I want to do with Pablo and with Ray Santiago.
Awesome. Got a question about Bruce Campbell. He's been I love that dude. Like, he's hilarious in all his movies. Does he come up with his one-liners himself, or are they written, and what's he like to work with in real life?
Bruce is a class act. He takes really good care of us on and off set. He welcomed us with, open chainsaw arms. He is responsible for some of the one-liners, but he also may amend the lines and change them when we're shooting. So he likes to honor the words on the page, but if something's not gelling, I think all of us sort of have come to understand that the characters really are within us, and so we can sort of change things, and he does that as well. But I have to say, he's the king of one-liners, and he is a perfectionist, and he gets it done on the first take. He says, I wish things were like when we were in the Herc and Xena days, where we just did one take and we on. And I'm like, what? I need at least 2 takes, especially on this show, because you're so stunt heavy. But somehow this man manages to get it right and get it right quickly. And I just try to learn as much as I can from him, because he knows what he's doing. And like I go back to saying, he takes really good care of us, and he I have to say, like, as my bizarro kind of pseudo TV dad, I learned so much from him. I get to go to work every day and watch him and learn from him, and then you kind of see the mirror and the parallel in the relationship between Ash and Pablo, and Ray and Bruce, and it's weird because we get to go to New Zealand and we are completely removed from any normalcy, and we're removed from our lives, and we go to New Zealand and we just shoot this show for 6 months, and I'm with Dana and Bruce and Lucy, and we're together all the time. Like, when we're not working, Bruce is chartering a boat and taking us into the middle of, like, some island, and we have a fun time where he's having poker night at his place. So we really do like each other, and I think that is important when you have a show like this that is about this group of people trying to get it together to save the world.
Now, The Evil Dead is known for its one-liners. What's your favorite one-liner in the show so far, both season 1 and 2, or even from the movie franchise?
I would say that my favorite one-liner would be shoot first, think never.
Nice.
There's another line that Kelly says, which is "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker." I mean, I gotta say, Groovy's pretty great. Groovy's pretty great.
Can't go wrong with that one.
Yeah, classic. So in season 1, Pablo had to choose a weapon. He chose a revolver as his weapon of choice. What would you like to see him use, or are you cool with him having that?
I gotta tell you, man, I personally, the revolver was handed to me, and it weighs a lot. It is not easy to hold that shit and look cool. I don't know. People have done it in the past. Personally, I like. In some of the press photos, there's me holding a baseball bat, and they had me trained to do all this sort of like sword fighting with like a baseball bat.
Interesting.
And we didn't actually end up using it, but personally, I think The Evil Dead is about using items that are not meant to kill someone or a demon with, and then they end up becoming a weapon to kill a demon or deadite. So the revolver is cool. I've come to love the revolver, but personally, I would love like a bat or, I think actually what's really cool about season 2 is that the revolver is the physical weapon, but I think that perhaps Pablo has a weapon within himself that we've never seen, that we haven't been privy to seeing, and that we will see in season 2, and his strongest weapon lies within himself.
Look at them hints he's dropping.
Tied to that medallion by any chance?
I mean, maybe. I think the seeds were planted last season with my uncle being a brujo and this medallion, and we definitely get to see him sort of go through this tortured journey, but. Like I said, he may or may not become the hero that he never thought that he could be by the end of season 2. And I think that what's really cool about this season is that for Pablo, he sort of goes on this journey very similar to Ash's in the films, in that he will forever be changed by the end of this season in a way that is very similar to Ash and how he lost his hand in the films.
I was going to say, a little bit of season 2, we do see Pablo's hand kind of working on its own, which is similar to what Ash had happened to him in the movie franchise. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe Pablo might be losing his hand and maybe getting a cool bionic hand with a revolver attachment.
Or
you never know. You never know what might happen.
So, Ray, I got a quick question for you. I did my research, and I saw that you are a big fan of James Woods, and I wanted to see what his influence is on your life and your acting work or body of work, and how you approach some of these roles.
I would say that I'm so sorry, but somehow somebody wrote that on the internet, and that's not true.
Sorry.
I'm good with James Woods. He's a great actor, but he's definitely not my. I didn't write that. I would probably say that somebody like John Leguizamo is somebody that I relate to a little bit more. As a kid, I used to watch his films and his TV shows, and I wanted to work with him. And I remember being in L.A. after I'd shot Meet the Fockers and seeing him at a bank and wanting to go up to him and telling him how I felt, but I didn't, because I stopped myself because I didn't want to fanboy out. Because I thought, what? It's all good. One day you'll work with him, and then you can tell him then. And then, sure enough, a couple of years later, I booked a role on this show called My Name is Earl, and he played my uncle. And I got to work with him, and I got to tell him how I felt, and it was dope. But, he's a pioneer for Latinos in television and film, and people like Jimmy Smits, all these underrated actors that have been around for a really long time. A Bronx Tale is one of my favorite movies. I happen to be from the Bronx, and, I love that film. And I also love De Niro. So my inspirations sort of span all across the board, but those would probably be my top hitters.
We're going to have to edit the Wikipedia or the internet.
Yeah,
They
got to
fooled
fix
us.
it. But it was great that you brought up your influences. You also talk about how you're on that pioneering edge of like representing Latinos in a positive way. We actually watch a show that has a Latino in it that we all love. Carlos Valdez, he plays Cisco Ramon on the show The Flash. Have you had a chance to watch that show?
I haven't, but I know who he plays. He plays like a hacker or something.
Yeah, he's like a super nerdy tech guy, but like he is Latino. They actually show like his Latino roots and about him trying to break out from like I guess a kid from the hood and being like a nerd and then getting a job being a scientist. I'd have to give kudos to you and him being these Latinos in like these genre roles, in the science fiction, horror, and then just holding it down out there. I'm hoping that there's more of this out there because we're huge fans of minorities taking front stage and being positive roles.
I am. I totally agree. Funny thing is, I auditioned for that role. I didn't get it.
Wow.
Devastated. But everything happens for a reason, and we as actors, we all know each other. We all see each other in the room, and we all want the job. But what's yours is yours, and what's theirs is theirs. And I haven't had a chance to see the show, but I know the role. And now that you've informed me, I'm definitely going to watch it. And I think it's interesting that we have found the way to kind of like portray Latinos in a sense in a positive light is in this sort of scientific, sci-fi, intellectual, hacker, nerd scenario. We got to figure out how to start telling, those stories, and that's a window into some of them. So happy to keep doing it, and happy, and kudos to him, man. Yeah,
it's great to see like Latinos not being roles where they have to say essay or Holmes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough, because it's out there. I mean, even right now, I've got 3 scripts sitting on my table in this hotel that I'm at right now in Austin, doing promo for the show. And before I'm talking to you guys, I'm reading these scripts, and I'm like, man, I told these people I don't want to do this, but you have to honor like those stories as well. And so I'll never say no to something until I read it, and I always try to find, I try to find the beauty in all things, and I think all stories are supposed to be told, but you can make the choice to tell them or not. It's really up to us. So at any point, back to Ash, I would like to say that for those people who have not had a chance to watch Ash vs. Evil Dead, they can download the Starz app for less than $10, and they can binge watch season 1, and then they can watch season 2, and then they can watch shows like Power and Survivor's Remorse. It's basically like having Netflix or Amazon. Starz has put out an app. A lot of people kept telling me, how can we watch the show? I don't have Starz. You don't need to have Starz. You just need to have the app. So
Awesome.
There it is.
Nice. That's how I watched some of it. Yeah, that's it's actually free if you already get if you already pay for Starz like through your cable provider or whatever. It's a free app. If you just sign into it and then just put in that you get whatever cable provider, then it's free to you already. You can watch it all on demand. That's a great promo, by the way.
Yeah,
That's a plug.
it's a great plug.
I do what I can. I mean, they treat us really well, and they have such diverse content on the air. And I think this day and age, you have to kind of like really push it so people can see it, because we just have so much content. And what's great is that with the app, it sort of means that they have a catalog of content, and that kind of means like they're going to continuously need more content for this catalog, which means Ash vs. Evil Dead ain't going nowhere.
Oh man.
Well, kind of getting back into the show, I know we're wrapping up pretty soon, but the show is kind of funny, but it's also pretty gory and also kind of scary. Like, there's a lot of crazy like makeup and stuff like that. Have there ever been an instance where something actually scared you on the show? Like maybe an actor might have came up to you a certain way and just freaked you out? Have you experienced that so far on the show?
There's things that are gross, for sure. Like, for sure, there's things that are really disgusting. But I don't think I got scared. I haven't been scared of any actors or anything, but definitely having been on the show and telling the stories on the show, I'm open to, like, there being other things and other energies out there. So I would say that I was shooting the pilot, and sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. They keep these PR people from the show are calling me while I'm on the phone with you, and they're not getting the hit when I'm not answering. But no, there was this one instance where we were shooting the pilot, and I was living in my place in New Zealand, and I kept hearing this noise in my house, and I wasn't sure what it was, and it sounded like there was something in my closet shaking the closet doors, and it freaked me out, and I kept sleeping with the baseball bat next to me.
You were trained.
I don't know what this is. It could be a rat. It could be a ghost. It could be some kiwi trying to cut me in half. I'm not having it. So it was the pipes. It was the pipes from the restaurant right next door. But for the longest time, I thought my place in New Zealand was haunted, but it was not.
Wah, wah. That's all right. Hey, real quickly, maybe I think this will be the very last one. So I see that you have been a producer and a director before. Hypo gave you credit as a producer and a director. Can you tell us really quickly about that?
So Hypo was a film that I wrote, that I produced and directed, that was written by a really good friend of mine, that was about a hypochondriac. And it was my first experience in producing and directing, and definitely not the last. I feel like I have stories that I want to tell. I feel like, having been on multiple sets and growing up on sets, man, there's a lot of bad directors out there, and there's a lot of bad content. And now that I'm just starting to get into a different world with Ash, I would love to, before the show is over, maybe direct a few episodes. I would love to play Prince in a biopic. You know?
That's great.
I would love to direct a movie about a Puerto Rican family in the South Bronx. So I have my ideas and concepts. It's just a matter of time and, being prepared for opportunities that are coming my way. But, it's just one thing at a time. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do a Chocolate Bananas, and I want to say thank you so much for your time. We love the show. We're going to keep watching. We'll live tweet it. Any last kind of promos you have, or where can folks reach you or follow you on Twitter?
People can reach me at Real Ray Santiago on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. Please feel free to reach out, ask us questions, tell us what you like, what you don't like, and I'll holler back at you.
Nice.
And I would just also say, encourage people to download that app. And Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2 airs October 2nd. I think it's a fun, fast-paced roller coaster ride, and people should check it out.
I'm going to quickly say it's the best horror comedy on television by far.
By far. Yeah.
We love
Thank
it.
you so much.